To follow that. Just amazing women there. All those stories are just incredible. So I'll just give you my story and how I've come to be here today, which is fantastic, and I'm delighted to be here among such wonderful people. My name is Geoghegan, and I'll give you a little bit about my background. I'm from Uachtarard, which is a small village just 17 miles west of here, gateway to Connemara. I left school in '79, had no interest in going to college. We weren't encouraged to go, so that suited me fine. I went to travel, and I lived in Dublin for years. In 1994, I came back to Galway because I always wanted to come home. And I set up a business in Galway, and then I built a house in Uachtarard. My dad gave me a site on the family farm, and I suppose my life continued there. Carefree, really, as most of my childhood had been out there, running around the farm. My dad bred Connemara ponies, and we had a tracking centre in the summer. And then in the, I suppose 2008 maybe, Mom started to have a lot of falls, and osteoporosis was diagnosed. But there was something more than that, but I suppose hindsight is a great thing. We didn't know what was going on. And then my dad got sick in 2010, and I firmly believe that was because of the stress of Mom, and he knew her probably better than anyone, and that there was something sinister wrong. So October 2010, Dad collapsed, ended up in the regional here. Took a while to get the diagnosis because he went in with the heart, so they just look at the heart, but actually he had cancer of the colon. So he was 5 weeks in hospital when a wonderful nurse, consultants and everything are wonderful, but all they wanted to do, and I know it's a training hospital, they just want to get in there and experiment. And this fantastic nurse told me to get my father home to die at home where he wanted to die. And I did. I brought him home to my home, which was as near as he was going to get. And we had 12 wonderful nights and days where he said goodbye to his friends and all the family, blah, blah. It was the winter, the December 2010, if anyone remembers, it was horrendous frost. And the army used to take the hospice nurse every day for the morphine. So it was all quite exciting, and Dad had a nice death, which I've learned about. I'll tell you later all about that. So, and then Mom, that was December then. Mom was with me, and over Christmas, and then all of a sudden, my sister, who's living in Cork, she heard about a geriatrician. Personally, I had never heard of one. Didn't know what they did. Now this was, remember, she's in Cork, and she was able to tell me about a geriatrician here in Galway. So we made an appointment and we took Mom. And he referred us to a neurologist, and we went for an MRI scan, and that was the first time that vascular dementia came on the horizon. And that's where the journey started from there, an absolute horror nightmare. No information. We were completely and utterly left to our own devices. We hadn't a clue what was going on. I was like a lunatic. Mom was like a lunatic in her own way. Mom would have been very quiet lady. So when she had gone into withdrawal, I suppose it wasn't that noticeable. But just different things, looking back, I now know I should have noticed, but we didn't. So from there, I was demanding, looking for notice. Everybody fobs you off, especially because you're a lay person. And I suppose in my mom and dad's time, you didn't challenge your GP or anyone that was educated in the community. The doctor, the priest, the teacher were gods, and we had to listen to them. But anyway, I wasn't one of those. So I heard about a diploma in social gerontology. I didn't know what gerontology meant. Studying aging. It wasn't something I had any interest in here in Galway. So I applied, and it was Professor Eamon O'Shea, and all the wonderful people there. Tricia Carney's down there. Professor Tom Sharp, all these. Anyway, professors hadn't been in my life prior to that. I had done, I was involved in community in 2004 in Oughterard because of a town plan, and I didn't like what they were planning for the town that I grew up in and loved. So I got involved in community, and I had done a diploma in community development here in Galway. But it wasn't on the main campus, it was over in Nuns Island. So to actually appear on the main campus for this was terrifying experience, but I'd had wonderful neighbours, Deirdre Wicks and Roy Green, and they were always telling me, you have to go back to education, and you know, it's not that daunting once you make the first step and get in past the gates of NUI. So anyway, I did arrive. There was a huge group from all over the country. It was fascinating. We learned about rural isolation, social isolation. I knew what they were, I just hadn't had the name before on them, but it was an amazing time. I came in there probably to escape. It was my respite day, really. I wasn't that interested in doing essays. But there was several, Anya and Elena asked me to speak with a PhD student who was researching women in midlife in rural Ireland, and she wanted to speak to carers or single girls, women, divorced, widowed, whatever. So I had no problem. I met with the student, and that day was probably life-changing because it was, I don't know how long I kept Alison. I think I probably took half her day. But it was the first time in a long time, because I'd been so busy from 94, running around with my businesses and living, that I had never actually thought about aging or what was going to happen to me or what I wanted from life. So it was quite incredible. And you were speaking to somebody that didn't know you, didn't know your family, wasn't judging you. So you actually answered truthfully to yourself, but it was the spoken word out loud. And I can tell you that was, I think it was 2013, and today I'm happy to say that I am changing my life, but it took a good few years, but it is what I came up with that day speaking. So research, getting involved in research is really powerful. I would never have said that before. My next thing, Michelle Harrison contacted me to get involved in a steering committee for the development of an education program for dementia carers. Well, I was on my bike then. I thought, this is... Kathy Murphy's there, and I torment them. I had nothing to say when I was in there because I was completely shattered from caring for Mom. I suppose I went in there thinking, oh, this is a miracle going to happen. I'm going to be told how to care for Mom properly. Little did I know how long research took, and I just wanted action, so that wasn't happening. And I had Kathy tormented looking for, I wanted the research, I wanted to know where was the education program. So actually I only discovered recently that there is an education program for carers in residential settings, but it's going to be tweeted and it will do us fine as well. Also, the PhD student, hers is going to be finished next year, so I'm looking forward to reading all about ageing in rural Ireland. Then from that steering group came another PhD student asking me about end-of-life care for people with dementia from the family perspective. Well, I was loving giving the information there. There is no end of life, as my mom. In the meantime, I'll tell you, I had got onto another group, and during my diploma in social gerontology, this wonderful, wonderful lady came from Dublin called Una Malloy to give us a lecture on end-of-life care in residential setting. And there was her, that day was just a life-changing moment, because I said, that's what I'm doing for my mom. I'm giving her palliative care, which I would have always thought was just for cancer patients. So I was delighted to speak with Laura, and her piece will be published next year, and she's published a paper which she sent to me, the unmet palliative care needs of those dying with dementia, and it's fantastic. So anyway, while I was doing all this, I was Googling, as we were talking about earlier, and I found the initiative Voices for Care, which was involving people, again, carers, service users, the community at large. Went to the first meeting of that in June 2013. Absolutely overwhelming. It was in Dublin, and I just thought, what the heck am I doing here? I haven't a clue what's going on. I was in and out of the zone completely. It's part of the All Ireland Institute for Hospice Palliative Care, which is just an amazing, absolutely amazing North-South partnership. And we've been involved. I think there's 22 of us on the Voices for Care, and we've been involved in lots of things. This is just a token of what, but the Let's Talk initiative was one that I was really taken, and it's a survey online. And we're looking that there was 528 people, and when I look at it now, I think, God, is that all? I thought there was a lot more. But it just shows how difficult it is to get people engaged, and how important. Now I know that, like just from the word map, care, hospital, family, mom, all these words that they mean so much to us. That is your whole life. Whether you're an academic or a Joe Soap, that's your life. So I'll just go on to my pieces, what I really got involved in. My proud moments from them is the Palliative Care Awareness Week in October 2014. And this is Mom, and I have left you some. I did interviews with the former head of the Institute, Paddy Blaney, radio and television, to tell our story and to try and give the layperson's perspective. And then from this as well, they have developed a hub, which is absolutely brilliant. It's the adult hub, the children, young persons hub, and there is a professional hub, which really professionals need to, again, as we were saying here today, they really need to get involved and see what we're about and how to stop talking with all the jargon and use lay terms. The Let's Talk survey. And the other one that was very impressive was the HSE came in to talk to us about the palliative care development framework, and he did get a hard time. He was lucky. And we were in a good mood that day, but he took it on board, and he came back and he actually had put our thoughts and our recommendations into the report, and we were fantastic. Oh, I better hurry up. The Touchstone initiative was brilliant. That was launched last week. This is for every community. Professor Tom Sharp launched it, and it's to be more civically active, engaged in your community. And then as next, my last one is Adele contacted me, and I'm now on this public and patient participation, and I've gone on to the Satin study, which is to me a kidney infection, and I suffered from them, and Mom was absolutely plagued with them, and it was nothing but antibiotics, which was completely and totally wrong, I think. They didn't look at anything else, and it was just killed her immune system. And just finally, I want to encourage everyone to participate, because if we don't, we can't change. And this is the artist in my column, Mary Horn. She has donated this painting to me to raise funds for a conference from the Touchstone that I've dreamt about for 2.5 years. Will be in NUI across the road on the 30th of May for living with dementia in rural Ireland. And see, the dark is the dementia, but out of that is all the light, and everybody, your whole life has changed. Anyway, that's it. I could go on forever. Thank you.
We're running way over time here, but we've time for one question if anyone has anything pressing. No? Okay, I'd like to bring this session to a close, and I'd like to thank all our 5 speakers for their inspirational and moving talks. They will be available after lunch as part of the forum at the end, so there'll be more opportunities to have, I suppose, a bigger discussion over some of the issues that were raised here this morning. We're running a bit over time, so when do you want to come back after lunch?
We take until 2:15.
Okay, so 2:15 would expect you back here. Okay, thank you very much.